All right, everybody. Welcome to another segment of Real Talk, where things is about to get real. As you know, we take the time to talk about very awesome, amazing hot topics.
Facts.
Topics that we feel that everybody in the world can relate to, and if they didn't know, can now be educated on. Today's topic is entrepreneurship. Being an entrepreneur versus having a stable life. Who says being an entrepreneur equals no stability? But very often there's this misconception that if you're an entrepreneur, you're most likely gonna have a very unstable life. Whatever that looks like for you, you know what I mean? That's the conversation. So today is a little bit about talking about what that looks like. Life as an entrepreneur, do you prefer to be rich? Or do you prefer to have a platform where you can create your own riches, your own opportunity to, influence and impact the world? Some people rather have a 60K job with, full benefits and things of that nature. But, I say to each his own, right?
True.
So we're gonna jump right into the topic. The first question that I guess anybody can honestly answer. What does it mean to you to be an entrepreneur? Straight up. What is your definition of an entrepreneur? Eddie, why not go with you first?
See the way my bank account is. Alright, to be an entrepreneur to me means just being a go-getter. Being able to work with what you have and make the best out of it. And in that sense, it could apply to different things as well as like your own life and helping others. But to answer your question in that matter, I'd rather have stability than, still shuffling through things and being able to find something that I want along the way versus once I have stability, then I could say, okay, I could put some time aside, I could put some money aside and really take off from there. In my head, being an entrepreneur is it's very chaotic at first because everything is coming in at once and you're trying to do 100 things at once. So that's great because you're multitasking at the same time. But then you lose track of what you really want. Unless you already know what you want, then it's really hard for a lot of people who are trying to become entrepreneurs. It becomes a little bit difficult for the younger generations to find a platform versus once you already have a platform to share your content with and you already have the ability to work with.
Well, I actually want to bring up a great point that you just brought up, where some people decide I'm gonna drop everything and be an entrepreneur, while some people say let me build myself,
right,
build my finances, build my brand, build a platform, and then quit my job to become an entrepreneur. So that's an interesting thing that you also just mentioned. Tyrell, you gonna say something?
Yeah, I agree and disagree with Eddie, and then also agree and disagree with the theory that you just presented. I do agree with the thought that I personally think entrepreneurship is being passionate about something and pursuing that. Everybody, in life, when America was first founded, it was granted 3 human rights, the right to pursue happiness, and that to me is entrepreneurship. The right to pursue happiness. What makes you happy? What sets your soul on fire? So no matter what you do is gonna come with some chaoticness, to use Eddie's words. You can start a new job. You may not have the necessary skill sets to complete the job, but you have to learn on the fly to get the task done. That in itself is some form of chaoticness. However, I'm a big fan of entrepreneurship. I'm my own entrepreneur. I believe everybody has this stigma that, I must be stable. This is what stability looks like. But are you happy? I used to work at American Express, getting up 6 o'clock in the morning, wear the suits and the ties, and be on the same train with the corporate giants. And the misery that sat on their face, they in their 40s and 50s. I'm in my 20s. That's not happiness to me. You on the train looking miserable, yo, I don't want to be here. I don't want to go there. That's not what entrepreneurship is to me. I feel like in life, our older generation and this generation that we're currently in, we have a lot of people that play it safe. We settle too much for what stability is, and I feel like the younger generation under us are the ones doing it right. They're the ones actually being innovative and creative and taking chances on themselves, and that's why there's a disconnect between, these generations. The younger generations, they have nothing to lose. Everything is at their disposal. They got social media, they got access to technology. They're out there making their dreams become true as entrepreneurs. We need to stop settling and stop saying, well, when I get this amount of money in the bank, then I'm gonna become an entrepreneur.
So real quick, before we go on to the next question, do you feel then that it's easier now to be an entrepreneur than maybe 20 years ago when our parents were coming up in the world?
I agree. I agree 1,000,000% with you, Herc. I know me personally, my mother settled in life because she had kids early.
Okay.
So that forced her to, I can't do what I necessarily may want to do because I have to provide, you know, and that's the case sometimes, you know, that is the case. But I do think wholeheartedly that it's easier now because there's an abundance of access.
Okay. So, Anissa, you started your own business at a very young age, Snooze Designs, which is up and coming, an amazing opportunity for herself to be an entrepreneur. And
Go
have
cop those pieces, right?
Go cop those. That was a self promo. So, coming from someone who has experience in the game from a young age, what are some of the qualities that you feel someone needs to be an entrepreneur? Some of the qualities that you have or had to learn along the way that made you successful, or like, you know what I mean, get to that next level?
Yeah, so I think it really depends on what form of entrepreneur you're trying to be. You know, there's a difference between being, you know, an entrepreneur as an artist versus someone who wants to start their own business as Tyrell being an entertainer, or someone who wants to, I don't know, build houses or something like that. You know, it's kind of different. So I know, like, for myself, being an artist, that was harder for me because the art world is very competitive. You know, there's a million different artists out there, some who are better than you, or like someone who can provide the quality of work for even cheaper, or like who can create it much faster, you know, so on and so forth. Some qualities you need to have as an entrepreneur is you definitely got to be consistent. You know, if you started strong, you got to keep going strong. If you fall off, it's very hard to get back on, just from self-experience. You definitely have to do your research and keep up to date with the latest trends that are going on, because the world is updating itself, you know, every single second. You know, the new thing is coming out tomorrow, and then tomorrow, and then tomorrow, and then if you're not on that bandwagon, you could be left behind, and then no one's gonna remember you. So you definitely got to do your research and keep up to date with the latest trends. You definitely have to widen your variety of things that you're offering. So if before you were just selling T-shirts, maybe you should widen your products to more than just T-shirts, just hats and clothes and sneakers and so on and so forth. Because if you limit yourself to one thing, there are other people out there who have more than you, and those are the people that can get more attention.
I just want to stop you right there, because there's this conception that a jack of all trades is a master of none, right? So that idea that, hey, where you're saying you should kind of tackle, you know, your own brand, you should have sneakers, T-shirts, whatever. Is there something wrong with like picking something and like being really, really good at it? Like, what about those people who want to be that kind of entrepreneur? Like, I want to be the best T-shirt maker. Is that like, I mean, I guess there's no right or wrong because it's entrepreneurship, but like in that scenario, like, how do you feel about taking on too much?
I mean, as a person who takes on a lot, I feel like it's an advantage to me though, because there's always gonna be a market or some form of audience who's gonna take something that I can offer from them, right? So if someone doesn't need a graphic design from me, well, I know I could do photography, so you know I could sell that. If someone doesn't need photography, well, I know I can do videography, so I can sell that. So because I have those tools in my tool belt, I can provide a lot of things. For the person who wants to be the best T-shirt seller, cool, be the best T-shirt seller ever that you could be. But I'm just saying, there are people who are the best T-shirt sellers, but they also selling hats and sneakers, and they selling a lot. And those are the people who are given more, and those are the people who people are going to take more from, more than just the person who's just selling T-shirts. You know what I'm saying? So there's nothing wrong with having a little more that you can offer to the world, because that'll show that you have more skills, you have a lot of talent, and you know it'll be best to sell yourself in that way, in my opinion.
No, I mean, I personally agree. I think it's important to have multiple skills to offer the world when you're an entrepreneur because, like you said, different people want different services. And if you're able to offer different services to different people, you continuously will have clients, and clients equal money.
So I think talent is very subjective because I feel like everyone has talent. It's just the way that, you know, you sell yourself with that talent, you know. So for example, I could draw, but you know, maybe Nitro can't draw as well as I can, or for everything that everyone does. So everyone has talent. You just need to know how to sell yourself. You need to find your audience and then expose that and take that for granted and just sell your talent to them.
Okay. Nitro, do you know how to draw? Hell no.
Well,
Hey, but there's an audience for your drawings out there.
But so I have a question for you, Nitro. Do you consider yourself an entrepreneur? If so, why? And if not, why?
I wouldn't say I'm an entrepreneur as of yet, but I feel like I'm working towards that. Because like what I'm doing for myself is like I want to become an actor. So when I'm trying to build a platform on social media so I can build my way up, so where I get noticed enough, so I can branch out and do all these other different things. I can actually get called out to casting calls, be in different movies and stuff. Help my friends like reach their goals, like whether it's like acting, singing, dancing, drawing, all that stuff. But I want to build myself up so I can help build others around me.
Okay. What about you, Olivia? Do you consider yourself an entrepreneur?
As of now, no, I don't. But I want to work towards that.
Okay. I mean, well, I'm glad that you said that because that was actually going to lead to my next question. Do you feel that if school offered classes on entrepreneurship, that it would make people like you feel more comfortable and knowledgeable about entrepreneurship, what it takes and what it's like?
Definitely, because that's something that they do not teach in school. And people might want to do that in the future, but they don't know how to approach it because it was never taught.
You know where they teach it in school at? In the lunchroom, and like you gotta learn those things on your own. Her talent is worth $1 million a year, and I'm making $5 million off of the $100,000 that I'm giving her. So who's really losing? You know what I mean? Like that element gets missed. Look at all the technology and things we use. They're entrepreneurs. They didn't go to college. Not putting down college, but when you know you have something, go for it. Like using her for example. Bro, you did architecture and you went to SGA. People told you mad times stop. You feel me? You could have just, you know what, let me just do it a book way. Let me be stable. Let me get a good paying job inside of architecture because it's a high demand. No, why do that? Why settle? Because are y'all gonna be parents one day and tell your kids to pursue their dreams, and then you look in the mirror every day and be like, yo, damn, I didn't do the same thing. That's why I feel like entrepreneurship is so important.
So that leads into the next question of why do you guys feel that society is so against being an entrepreneur? Is it because of the stability factor, which is something that we talked about earlier? Because most people feel like being an entrepreneur, there's a huge risk factor. You can invest a lot of time, invest a lot of money, and nobody wants your stuff. Or you can invest a lot of money and waste it because you're not as talented as you thought, or you're not as committed as you need to be this entrepreneur. So like, what about being an entrepreneur do you guys feel like is why society is just like, no, go to school, get a degree, get your 9 to 5, get your benefits, whatever that looks like?
I could give you some input on that, and to bring you back to what you mentioned earlier on the fact that, you know, everything comes with stability. So everything's like, all right, we're secure, we have the 9 to 5, we're making this bread right now, and that's what we want. Versus when we see somebody who's like out there trying to make all this, I'm like, yo, why is he doing that? Is it really gonna work for him? So everybody, us as entrepreneurs, I think all of us are entrepreneurs. So when people look at us, they're like, why are you doing that? Like, are you sure this is gonna work for you? Like, are you really sure? You don't want something more stable, something that you're sure about that's gonna bring you constant money. I'd rather make no money and be happy with what I'm doing versus making so much bread that I'm not enjoying myself or being on the process. Perfect example with myself. I took a semester off from school because I felt like it was really holding me back from what I'm trying to pursue, and I really love it. Is it making me money right now? Not as much as I would love to, but I enjoy it and I love it. I'd rather do that than sitting in an office 9 to 5, breaking my back, gaining weight, not being happy, and just staring at people with like the worst resting bitch face that could ever be. Like, I'll be in the computer and you look at me, Eduardo.
What?
But Eddie mentioned a good point, and I think, I think it ties into something Olivia said and Anissa. Him choosing to not go to school, he's still, even though he's not making the amount of money that he wants to right now, he's out there grinding, doing the dirty work. So this is the quote-unquote chaotic period that he spoke about.
Right.
However, correct me if I'm wrong, Eddie gets booked every night. Like, there's not a night Eddie's not out at an event. Like, you know what I mean? So the exposure that, you know, that he's getting, like, he was just doing a shoot inside, what was that big store? Like, he was doing a video shoot just up when we were speaking. He did a video shoot and stuff inside a big store. He's training others under him to you know, to be efficient and effective in what they do. If he was in school, he wouldn't have this opportunity.
That's true.
That's how I look at it. It's a win-win.
At least you was gonna say something.
Oh yes, yeah. So I think that, you know, society looks at entrepreneurship as maybe not the way to go because of the steps that you have to take. I was reading this book. I ain't finished it yet, but I was reading this book called The E-Myth. It's about how people start their own business, and it says that when people start their own business, it only lasts about maybe 6 months, and it's because they get all hyped up about, well, I'm gonna start my own business, I'm gonna do a bunch of stuff, and I'm gonna sell it to people. But like, no one really takes into consideration the steps you have to take to get there. You know, there's a lot of legal stuff. There's a lot of how do you get clients? How are you networking? Who's your target audience? So on and so forth. Exactly. Everyone feels like they could run an entire business by themselves. Me as an example. I've done everything wrong, but now I know how to do everything right, which is great. So I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I messed up. But when it comes to society, and you know, I'm seeing people start their own business, you know, especially when it's a lot of young people too. It's like, well, here's another young person trying to start their own business. Here they are begging for money so that they could start this business. Here, and then 6 months later, their business goes belly up, and then that's it. What a waste of time. You know, I don't think that people are looking at people who want to start their own business as, well, this person can have the next best idea that's going to help all of us in the long run. You know, and it's the older generation. You know, they're used to the 9 to 5 job. That's how they were raised. That's how they grew up. That's what they were told. Go to college, 9 to 5 job, make money, have a family, make sure you support your family. That's it. I don't think anyone ever told them that, look, you can start your own business and be happy. And it's hard to start your own business and be happy, I feel like, in the beginning, because there's such a struggle. The struggle with getting money. Yes, you could be happy doing what you love, yes. But at the end of the day, you're definitely gonna need money. You're definitely gonna need money, and we need money in this world to survive. We can't survive without it, unfortunately. So I think that's where the chaotic part that you were talking about comes in, is that, yes, here I'm doing what I love, but why am I not generating a lot of money? Why am I putting so much work into something and not getting it back the way that I want to get it back?
So a quality I think that wasn't mentioned that it requires an entrepreneur to be is a risk taker. Because if we think about everything we've been talking about, what it takes to be an entrepreneur, to go through the chaos, to go, you know, out of the norms that society sets, to be consistent and all these things, like, you have to be actually willing to take a risk, to say, I'm going to take a semester off school. I'm willing to quit my job, to dedicate the full time I need to this craft, to perfect it. I'm willing to take the risk to, you know, teach myself how to be great. Like, you know what I mean? And I think that's another thing that plays a huge role in why society's against it, because a lot of people in life are not really interested in taking risks. They like the short routes. They like to know, hey, if I apply for this job, I'm gonna get this, and this. Guaranteed. All I gotta do is show up to work. Right? You know what I mean? I gotta go through my 90-day probation, and after 90 days, I'm set. If I'm a teacher, I gotta teach for 10 years and I'm locked in. I got tenure. You know what I mean? Nobody's taking that from me. And in so many different industries. So it's interesting because we cannot detach risk taking from being an entrepreneur? Because I feel like every entrepreneur has to have taken a risk on themselves, on their idea, and so many things. There's so many famous people out there who continuously had to take a risk on themselves and their livelihood. Sleeping in somebody else's house to not have to pay rent, to invest that money into themselves. Like, there's so many different crazy stories, which then goes to the question of, well, would you prefer to have your own platform versus riches? And Eddie, you kind of alluded to it, like, you're not getting the big bucks right now, but at least you're happy. You have your own platform and you're creating that for yourself. In order to make your own, you can't work for nobody else. Like, that's how this world works. Like, in order to actually make your own anything, you have to do it for yourself. So with that, like, how do you feel about taking the risk that would take? And would you prefer to have that platform of your own animated series, or to work for a company where you're kind of being able to create, but you're really creating for the company?
Well, I have to take the risk because then my life's gonna stay the same. I'm never gonna do what I want to do.
What about you, Todd? Riches or your own platform?
I'm gonna say my own platform, and I'm only speaking. I mean, I've always felt that way, but like, I've actually been seeing the growth of like just having my own platform. I think I was always put in positions where I had to decide, like, all right, I got great, amazing company jobs, but I was sacrificing being Mr. Turn Up and opportunities. And I've been Mr. Turn Up for a few months now, just Mr. Turn Up. And I'm glad to say, like, I have a full schedule, full calendar, and I'm able to do more. And with your own platform, like Anissa alluded to, you can design and shape it how you want it to be, and there may be people that disagree with how it's supposed to be, but like Olivia mentioned, if you want to be able to express yourself, you're gonna need to have your own platform.
So, something just came up in my head.
Could I answer that question?
Absolutely, yes.
Don't mind.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
I won't forget what I'm thinking about.
All right, I appreciate it. Okay, so for me, I'm a firm believer that everything happens with steps, right? There's steps to how you do things. So I actually want both. But the first thing I want, though, is to work for a company. And the only reason to work for the company is that I want to gain the experience, because these are people who know how to run a business, right? These are people who have done this for years, who know how to hire people, who know how the steps are supposed to go in order to get to the final product or that final thing. So I wouldn't see myself working for a company for the rest of my life, of course, but I do want to work for a company geared towards what I want to do to gain that experience and to learn from them. So, and while at the same time, generating, a great amount of income. So then after I'm finished with them, I finish using them, then I go my own platform, and now that I have that experience from what they taught me, now
Right.
my business can grow and
Blossom.
So
Thank you guys so much for your feedback thus far. I think we've had a really great conversation around the topic of entrepreneurship. But I couldn't end this conversation without asking something that's very relevant to our lives, right? So we're about to have some real talk, even though we've been having some real talk. When it comes to being an entrepreneur and you come from a marginalized community, and when I say marginalized, I'm talking about you are black, brown, Asian, whatever, not white, where we associate white with privilege, right? And I say privilege, not saying that all white people have privilege, but when you normally look at that demographic of entrepreneurs, they come from families who will invest into them, in their ideas, right? Not all the time, of course. This is not about saying everyone, but 9 out of 10 versus black, browns people, we don't have access to resources that certain people do, right? So do you feel that because of the lack of resources, you find less entrepreneurs of our skin color than of the opposite? And if so, do you feel like the odds are set against us just to begin with, and why more people, and even our parents, encourage us more to not take the risk? Because, hey, you don't have a rich uncle, so don't even try it. What are you guys' thoughts on that, of what I just mentioned? Anything about what I just mentioned? What do you think?
Because I actually agree with how our parents personally, like, they would like support us to like become entrepreneurs, because like we don't come from rich backgrounds, obviously. So like my parents, for example, like they're not really supportive towards like me becoming an actor, because it's not an easy field to get into. None of what we're doing is an easy field to get into. Like, it's so many more people doing the same thing as us, and it makes it that much harder to get into that field, or just to be at the top of the game. So they find it easier for me to just go for like a regular 9 to 5, just like find like regular work. Despite all of that, I'm still focused on me. Like, I'm doing whatever I can to please them, but I'm also working more towards to please myself. I feel like I shouldn't have to be like balance like both ends. I feel like I should go towards what I want to do, and then later on, like, they'll realize that what I'm doing is right for me. Like, what I'm doing is really gonna help all of us as a whole.
Eddie, you got some feedback?
Take your writing on that, like, you know, saying have a support system, and also like people who believe in your dream. I feel like there's, in our demographic, I feel like there's more entrepreneurs than what is really depicted as the people of lighter skin. And this is why. Because I feel like we're so determined to get out of our situation that we become so innovative. But as mentioned earlier, platform is a big thing. So having a platform to share your work and show your passion and have people look at what you're doing is really everything. Exposure is everything. And, you know, like I was just saying, like, the odds are against us in one way or another, and that's where I think like exposure doesn't come in versus somebody who's in the other side, let's call it. I'm gonna give you an example. Like, when I go to these shows and performances, right? Not badging on artists and stuff, because I do work with like super talented artists, but I've seen my fair share of like people who don't do so well. And the lighter side, you know, they might not have bars, but because of this complexity, all you see is same people with the same skin jumping up and down, and you see the people with the sauce, with the, you know, with the swag. They're like, what is he doing on stage? Like, what is it? And you sense it. Versus when you see us, we're like, we have that hunger for success, that hunger for innovation, and like, you know, showing who we are, and like, we're, you know, it's like we're getting it versus somebody who already feels entitled to have it. We have this hunger for like success, but at the same time, not that exposure that we really need. And that's why I feel like there's a lot more entrepreneurs on our side versus in the white side, because it comes with the stigma of they're just, you know, they're from the ghetto, they're from the hood, they're good for nothing, they don't really have value to add. And because of our skin color, of our background, we automatically, those descriptions come down on us, and it sets us back. But that, I feel like that really makes us more hungry to prove them wrong and like get what we want. And, you know, in that sense, I feel like we have more determination to be somebody and help our own, or even like ourselves, to get there. But at the same time, you know, other people's in our group or like our family as well, there's like holding us back because like, yo, that's not for us. Like, know your place. I'm like, no, I don't want to know my place. I want to get out of my place. Like, I want to get out of this, like, this box. Like, I feel like I'm tied in. Like, my hands are tied by the time I want to just break free, pretty much. So I just want to go get it. We have the numbers. We just have to realize that we can't get there by ourselves. We have to help each other. And a lot of people, in that sense, it's not bad to be selfish, but it's also not good to, like, not help others. Because nobody gets where they are by themselves. They have to have their support system. They have to have their own team, you know, somebody to support. And like, first of all, help somebody. And at the end of the day, they'll be able to help you back. We just have to like support each other. And that's what I feel like this generation really lacks. Everybody's trying to be the next hot thing. But it's like, you can't do it by yourself. You need a support system.
You know, I don't sit here and say I know the exact statistic between colors and entrepreneurship. But I mean, think about it, right? It's a joke, but drug dealers are entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm. It's true. They're hustlers.
Right? They are. They're literally a version of an entrepreneur, but I'll leave that at that.
Whether you like it or not. So,
what about you, Zai? What's your feedback on entrepreneurship and colorism?
I think it plays a huge factor. Eddie spoke highly of the support, and Nitro mentioned the aspect of how family ties into it. I think I'm gonna take it from a different. I agree with both of y'all. I'm gonna create a different lens or perspective, so to say. I think the reason why people of that are melanin deficient, that's what I like to refer to them as. I'm challenged. The reason why there appears to be more entrepreneurial success is because they've mastered our culture. If you notice the culture, and that's not just referring to hip hop or music, anything, but just the overall culture feel. The way, like Olivia said, how we're all entrepreneurs. We all have the entrepreneurial spirit. We all want to create. We all want to innovate. They've mastered that. They've sat back and mastered it. They watch. They take notes. Hee hee ha ha. That's why they're able to go to a show and feel confident, whether they bomb or not, because they've mastered it. As opposed to us, we sit back and notice everything that's not going in our favor. If YouTube, so to speak, is the biggest platform for content to upload for free, I'm sure there's a bunch of other, platforms out there, because everything has a competitor. That's why things innovate and create just to tweak. Find their competitor. Or matter of fact, find somebody, Yo, Anissa, I know that you're awesome when it comes to digital work. This is my idea. How can we meet somewhere in the middle? Olivia, I know you want to animate, you want to have your own cartoon series. Listen, this is what I'm trying to do. How can me, you, and Anissa collaborate and build the platform? And that's honestly how Overcoming the Odds started. I had one idea, Herc had one idea, Anissa has one idea. They all may be different ideas, but we share the same passion and vision. And that vision is to break the glass ceiling that exists for people like us. So instead of us sitting there identifying what we're not getting, how about we realize we already have the advantage because we are the culture and the norm. Look what is quote unquote winning. Oh, if you notice this is the fashion trend winning and you want to be a stylist, it's easy for you to do that because you know that already. That's nothing to you. But the reason you feel some type of way is because somebody else is making money off it. You know what? You already know it. They have to study it. You know it, just apply it different. That's how I personally feel. I agree with both of the things you said as far as support, the family. I've been there. My mother told me on Thursday of last week that she's happy for me because now you see it for yourself. Like, I'm out here doing my thing. Like, with you or without you, I'm gonna do my thing. Friends, sometimes you gotta, everybody ain't supposed to take the journey with you. Hercules taught me that. Everybody ain't supposed to go on the journey with you. But the longer you try to keep everybody around you, your car's not gonna go far. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just us being aware of the advantages we have and then just figure out how to effectively apply it.
That was another profile. Y'all killing it on the end, the fourth quarter. Coming from a woman's perspective of color, how do you feel that plays into advantages and disadvantages in your life and in others? Like, where do you feel that plays a role and how?
I mean, obviously being a female, usually in a male-dominated field, they look down upon you and they feel that you're not as good as them just because of your gender. Or, in the color thing too, that goes along with it. That's just adding to it.
So you're saying it's probably twice as hard for women of color entrepreneurs?
Yeah, but I mean, it's hard for everyone, and I can't make an excuse just because of that. So that can't stop anyone.
Yeah, pretty much what Olivia said. I mean, I don't want to say it's a male-dominated field, but there's a lot of men in it more than women. There are a lot of men who are in technology. Well, I'm speaking from an artist perspective. There are a lot of men in technology, I feel, than women. I guess because I feel like there are these gender norms that men should be doing this and women should be doing this. And then when a woman steps out of that norm and she goes, to like where the men are, then like, and this is not for all men, so please, I'm not trying to do that.
You gotta explain yourself.
I'm trying to make sure. But I feel like some men look at women as like, well, what does she know? You know, this is not even her place anyway. And on top of her being, you know, a woman of color, you know, whereas a white male versus a woman of color, it's like there's like kind of no competition, unfortunately, in this world. I also want to piggyback off of what Tyrell said, because he brought up a great point. Is like what I had stated before, you know, earlier, saying that, you know, we need to be up to date with the latest trends. I feel like people of color are trying to recreate the wheel when the wheel has already been created. What we need to do is take that wheel and make it our own and remix it and make it the next best thing. And right now, you know, people that who are not of color are able to do that. They're not creating anything new. They're taking what's created now and then making it the next best thing. And I feel like we're so focused on trying to beat them, you know, trying to be, you know, better than them, that we're not focused on trying to be the best versions of ourselves, or like trying to set, you know, a new path, a new way. You know, people of color are trying to be better than people not of color. I hate saying white people, but trying to be better than white people, and trying to create a new path instead of just trying to create a new movement, a new form of way. You know, when it comes to people of color, like Eddie said, you know, we don't support each other. It's always competition for some reason, and I'm not sure why. You know, we shouldn't be fighting against each other. We should be fighting against the people who are fighting against us. You know, and you know, those are the people who are making the money, who are sitting down and laughing at us because we're here fighting against each other while they're just making the money. And I don't think some of us don't, and not us, but like some of us don't realize that. You know, I mean, I think we just need to do better.
I mean, that's real talk. That's real talk.
To add on to what you were saying, do you feel like, you know, cultural appropriation is playing a big part in today's society? Like, perfect example, that whole thing going around with Bruno Mars saying that he's appropriating black culture, and the white people like him, Caucasians like him because he's not black.
There is definitely a huge problem with culture appropriation in America. And it's just been something that's existed since the beginning of time. It's not, and it's never gonna go away. Why? Because we are always in the same circles, right? Black people create something, obviously somebody's gonna wanna mimic it, right? It's just what human nature is. I think the bigger issue with culture appropriation is when we start to lose ourselves so much that we're really worried about the next man creating our culture. Because who can really do things better than us? Like, if we're sitting here watching, you know, for instance, I remember there was a time when it was like, oh, Kylie Jenner was doing, she had her hair in cornrows or something like that. And the whole world went crazy. Like, I get it, but it's like, but she's not us. She's really not. Like, so we should look at her and just laugh, not be worried about what she's actually doing, because she's not us. She took more time trying to figure out how to braid her hair that way than it takes for a black person to keep it that way. Because our hair naturally stays in cornrows. Her hair was out in a few hours. She probably did her hair for that photo shoot. Right? No, but it's a real thing, because I feel like it's, you know, and with the whole Bruno Mars thing, we're so caught up with what Bruno Mars is and isn't, but it's like, yo, at the end of the day, he's making great music, right?
That's right.
So what does it matter who he's trying to appropriate when at the end of the day, he's making music for everybody? If Bruno Mars isn't black, is black, I don't really care, because I'm black, and nobody can take that away from me. Like, if you want to walk through the streets and try to be black, I'm going to laugh at you. It's like, I'm Jamaican. Mad people try to be Jamaican because it's a cool thing to do. I'm sorry. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm a laugh. And like, even for me, right, I was born in America. When I go to Jamaica and I try to be Jamaican and speak the language, they laugh at me. Why? Because they know I'm not them.
Right.
They're not worried about me trying to be a part of the culture. They're not.
Thinking like me,
You know what I mean? So I think we tend to get so caught up in what's happening instead of saying, well, let me show what this really is about.
But
What this is really about. You know what I mean? Like what this real music is about. Like, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I get real frustrated when these things happen because I read that article and I'm like, yo, really? Like this is what we're spending time focusing on. But we don't want to prolong this video any longer. Thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of Real Talk. Entrepreneurship versus stability. You can find stability in being an entrepreneur. This conversation is not to direct you in one way or the other, but to raise your awareness and to have a educated conversation about different perspectives. We are not here to offend nobody. We're not here to direct no one. We're here to tell our stories and our opinions on the matter. So if you're out there and you want to be an entrepreneur, know that it doesn't matter what skin color you are. It does not matter what gender you are. It does not matter where you come from. And it does not matter what you want to be an entrepreneur at. It matters what you have in your heart, what you're willing to commit to, what you're willing to learn how to be the best version of, what risk you're willing to take, and mostly what kind of talent you have in your bag.
Facts.
Outside of that, thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope you catch up next episode.
It's been real.
Bye.
Bye. Have a beautiful time.
Wakanda forever.
I teach myself an example because I only because I
that you had
I've done everything.
you could